Okay, so there's a new Star Wars game called Star Wars Outlaws. This is the final preview, it says, and didn't watch the first few previews because literally nobody cares about Star Wars anymore. Star Wars is freaking dead. It's been dead since 2015, since Disney bought it, and it has eight over 8,000, well over 8,000 dislikes. If you have the plugin that allows you to actually see dislikes, um, and only 2,000 likes. So already a massive flop, and it doesn't even have 100,000 views. You think the you think a new Star Wars game, like literally the most recognizable franchise in human history, would have at least a million, at least 100,000 for God's sakes, but it doesn't even have that. So we're gonna react to this. This is 9 freaking minutes. Okay, okay. Game trailers are supposed to be, or previews are supposed to be short and sweet, not 9 minutes. Just show what you gotta show. Don't like show like 10% of the story in a freaking preview. Don't do it. Disney has no idea what they're doing. They have no idea how to market. They have no idea how to make a actual playable game, let alone a watchable movie. So, and you already know this game's going to be 90% cutscenes. So, yeah, I'm going to watch this and react to it.
I have enough friends.
Yeah, but you don't have to pay me to hang out with you.
It seems impossible that Star Wars Outlaws is the first ever open world Star Wars game, but indeed it's true. With that first comes plenty of expectation, but also lots of excitement.
Did they seriously just say this is the first open world Star Wars game? Like, how arrogant of them. Haven't you heard of Star Wars Galaxies? Haven't you heard of Star Wars Galaxies that was way better than whatever this is? And it was multiplayer. This probably isn't even multiplayer, for God's sake. And they have the audacity to say, oh, the first ever open world. No, it's not.
Particularly when the studio handling the effort is Massive Entertainment, the talented developers of The Division. Speaking personally, I confess that I don't often get hyped up for too many open world games these days, outside of those made by Rockstar, as those can be counted on to raise the bar every single time, but I have been plenty hyped for Outlaws. After all, it's set after The Empire Strikes Back, you play as a Han Solo caliber scoundrel instead of yet another Jedi, and you've got an awesome alien creature pet named Nyx by your side at all times, who promises to have an impact on gameplay and not just follow our—
Oh God, look at that lag. Did you guys see how laggy? Look how clunky and laggy the movements are. At least make your movements smooth for a freaking preview. Okay, look how clunky and laggy that is. That's ridiculous.
At all times, who promises to have an impact on gameplay and not just follow our hero—
That looks terrible. That looks like alpha gameplay. Not even alpha. That looks like the freaking V1. Not even V1, V00.1. Okay, this is not even like showable. I would have kept this in the vault.
Kay Vess around being adorable. In other words, it's got a lot going for it on paper.
Don't worry, Nix. The next job will be better.
And while it doesn't seem like Outlaws will do any Rockstar-like bar raising, after playing a near final build of it for 4 hours across 2 different sections of gameplay, I can say it's still one of my most anticipated games yet to come out in a busy second half of 2024, and it feels very Star Wars in all the right ways.
We made it.
Ubisoft has developed a reputation for making checklist open world games. Big spaces where you're given a to-do list of side quests and activities to complete outside of the golden path. Generally, this is not a compliment. But one of the things that impressed me about Star Wars Outlaws is that I didn't get the sense that I was just checking boxes to inch closer to 100% game completion. Don't get me wrong, there is plenty to do in Outlaws, but those side quests and activities feel a lot more organic than they do in the publisher's other games. For example, while wandering around the town of Miragana.
Now pay close attention to the background NPCs. They're literally just standing, doing absolutely nothing. The whole world just looks dead. Everything just seems dead. There's no market, there's no commotion, you could have merchants selling stuff. No, it's just an empty metal room with people standing. It's boring.
On the planet Toshara, I walked by an arcade minigame of sorts. I wandered up and played around and had a good time.
Oh wow, an arcade minigame that took like 2 hours for the developers to make. Wow, so revolutionary, as if games haven't been doing this for the last 20 years. Okay, we're still adding basic 2D arcade, quote unquote arcade games into freaking AAA titles, AAA games. We're still doing that? Really? Really?
Also stumbled upon a betting stand where I could wager on holographic horse races. I managed to bet on the right one by sheer good luck, which gave me a chuckle later when I discovered a data pad lying around elsewhere that gave me a strong hint on who to lay my money on. I also encountered a down-on-their-luck gambling addict who begged me for money. I obliged, enabling his vice and leaving with a promise that he'd share in his winnings should he find himself back on Lady Luck's good side. Naturally, there's also a cantina, and I even saw a sabacc
where people are just standing around doing nothing. Nothing. All the NPCs are just stationary. There's not even anyone walking in this whole room. And where's the aliens? Why is everybody a human? Isn't this Star Wars? Shouldn't there be a vast array of creatures? Like, look at the cantina scene in the old Star Wars movie, A New Hope. It was filled with all these unique character designs. Now it's just, you might have a sporadic alien here or there, but the majority of the time it's going to be human. And this doesn't even feel like Star Wars. The whole vibe is just off. Everything's just off about this.
table, but I lacked sufficient funds at the time to buy in and play.
Someone told me that the Hutts are scrambling to get back something.
I'm sorry, is this a Star Wars game or a gambling simulator where you can gamble away fake virtual money? How is that fun again? How is that fun? I could press B and I could freaking gamble this fake virtual money and I could win. Like, no, and you already know, like you already know they're going to make it so you lose almost 90% of the time, because otherwise the game would be way too easy. Or if they're trying to be new friendly, they'll make it so it's easy to win. So these gambling things actually operate as kind of like a mini cheat code where you can just gamble, get more, and it's just stupid. Just make your game to the point where the player actually has to work to get money, not just go gamble. Okay, gamble fake money. No, make it so it actually takes skill. You have to actually work. You can trade items. So far I've seen zero trading system.
Jabba's.
All of these optional activities feel very natural on the planets and towns of Outlaws, and that's true in part because of the excellent art direction that makes every location ooze Star Wars authenticity. From the lighting to the architecture to the NPCs milling about, Massive has, based on what I've seen so far, done an excellent job of setting an authentic Star Wars stage.
It's basically freaking Red Dead Redemption with a Star Wars skin. Okay, let's be real. Okay, and the gameplay is just tacky. It's like not even close in comparison to the quality of other open world games. Like look at this animation. Look, it's so laggy. Look at that. That's not even cool looking. It's just,
And I'd be
look, she just lays him down on the ground. She doesn't even punch him or anything.
stage.
Like, what kind of punch was that, bro?
Authentic Star Wars stage.
That just looks like it's not satisfying at all to even look at.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't add how the story of Star Wars Outlaws only supports and reinforces. Didn't add how the story of
Same exact animation. They literally they use the same animation twice, like they're actually showing off unique features when they're literally just spamming the same animation over and over again. And if, depending on how long this game is, if this game's like more than 10 hours long, I'm assuming, then that will get really boring really fast.
Star Wars Outlaws only supports and reinforces all of this. Kay is just out to make her way in an unforgiving galaxy, lying or double-crossing as she needs to in order to look out for number one. This plays out in occasional dialogue choices that pop up during cutscenes, adding a bit more player agency to what would otherwise be a mini Star Wars in-game movie. Will those choices affect how
Oh God. And did you seriously just call this an in-game movie? That already is a huge red flag, because as we know, Disney is not good at making Star Wars movies. Matter of fact, they're not good at making movies in general. Okay, Disney sucks at making anything of value when it comes to storytelling.
how the plot ultimately plays out? I wouldn't bet on it, but there is a laudable faction reputation system that tracks how much, or little, each of the in-game syndicates likes you. Double-cross the Hutts and you'll harm your reputation with them, but increase your standing with the Crimson Dawn. Piss off a faction enough and they won't let you into their territory, meaning you'll have to sneak in and stay undetected if you want access.
What if I say no?
Now that you know who I work for, I can't let you walk out of here.
But you're probably wondering, what of the moment-to-moment gameplay? In this, Star Wars Outlaws made me happy. This is a stealth game if you want.
Oh God, another Mary Sue. Look at this. Look how just stupid this looks.
But you're probably wondering, what of the moment-to-moment gameplay?
Look at that. Look at this. Like he's wearing full body armor. And she weighs like 120 pounds. She rushes a professional stormtrooper and she literally taps him, slaps him, whatever the heck she's doing, and he gets knocked out instantly. Like, come on, we've seen this before. It's going to be just dumb. It's just dumb. It makes no sense.
In this, Star Wars
Get out of here. What is he doing? He's just on the ground.
Outlaws made me happy.
What is that? What is that? So you're saying a punch to the stomach, not to the stomach, to a plate of armor. Like, really, her hand should be hurting. And that makes no sense. It makes no sense. Come on now. You expect me to suspend hold my suspension of disbelief that much throughout this entire game? This just is dumb. Don't even have these silly melee things in your game if you're going to make it look stupid, because this lady, there's no way in the world this lady is knocking out that guy with full plated armor. And she's not even a Force user. I could understand if she was a Jedi. I could understand if she had a lightsaber, but no, it's just dumb.
This is a stealth game if you want it to be. And if you mess up in that attempt, I honestly like that you don't have a
So do these enemies actually punch back, or is it just them standing there? Is it just them standing there and getting hit by a Mary Sue. Okay, is this really all this game is? Look, oh wow, he's just standing there doing nothing. Nothing. No, absolutely nothing. And then you just walk up to him, and then the animation plays. No actual engagement between the player and the NPC besides watching an animation, which isn't even believable. And this is what we're supposed to pay for? This is what we're supposed to be excited for? Yes, the graphics are decent, but the actual gameplay is just laughable.
Lightsaber to save you. You'll have to use Kay's blaster, which, yes, is upgradable, to get out of trouble, and that adds to the sense of danger because you're not a laser sword wielding demigod. As such, the blaster battles felt like they had meaning.
Look how lame that looks. No actual challenge. The NPCs, of course, they just rush you. They just charge at you blindly. No real intelligence with the AI. They don't work together besides just clumping up and shooting all at the same time, hoping they hit you. And of course, they will miss you 90% of the time because it's not a challenge. It's just dumb. Just give it up. Star Wars is dead, bro. The magic is gone. They ruined it. Disney ruined it.
Meaningful stakes, and the stealth gameplay had a bit of weight to it because I knew that I'd be up.
Look, clumping up, no cover, standing out in the open. It's just ridiculous.
Against it if I messed up.
Calling for reinforcements.
Roger that.
Naturally, with stealth comes lockpicking, and it's here too in the form of data spikes, and I quite like how Outlaws handles it. Each lock has a particular audio signature, and it's up to you to match that pattern by pressing the right trigger in time with the beeps. The longer you take, the more likely you are to be spotted. Similarly, the hacking minigame is also really fun. Here, you'll need to line up the right symbols in the right order, which usually takes multiple attempts. Fail too often and you'll fail the hack entirely. It took me a few tries to wrap my head around, but once I did, I really enjoyed.
This is what's known as filler content, padding the runtime of the game. Now, he said this is fun. Are you sure about that? You call this fun? This is laughable. You think people are gonna pay for this? So you're saying every time you have to go through a locked door, you have to fill out this stupid mini game, and you know the levels are going to be littered, just littered with locked doors. Okay, that is the nature of a Star Wars game, to have a mini game every single time. Like, let's say you're on a Star Destroyer or something, or Imperial base, you're gonna have to go through so many locked doors. So every time you want to get through a door, you're gonna have to play this stupid mini game. No, just let me have a key card or something that I can use to get through the door. That's what Jedi Outcast did. Once you get the key card, you can have access to all the locked doors. Okay, but this game clearly doesn't know what actually rewarding the player actually is, and they instead insist on punishing the player just for playing the game by making them play stupid mini games. I don't even call this a game. This a stupid puzzle.
Enjoyed the opportunities I got to do some hacking.
Nice.
The core stealth gameplay is aided by the breakout star of Outlaws, Nyx. Yes, Nyx is the BD1 of this game, but compared to Cal Kestis's droid companion, Kay's organic pal can do a whole lot more for you. He can distract an enemy by getting the bad guy's attention and adorably playing dead.
This is so childish. Are you serious? Really? So an Imperial officer just looks there and stares. Just looks and stares. Are you serious? You couldn't come up with anything better to add to your game than a freaking pet? Come on.
or flat out attack them. He can hit buttons or switches too, or set off bombs, and retrieve items. This is useful when you're pinned down in a firefight and a more potent A300 blaster rifle is across the room. Nix can go fetch it and bring it back and drop.
So cheating. So it's pretty much cheating. So you have this thing that can just literally just bypass all of the enemies, and you just get the weapon, no work, no effort, and then you get the super OP weapon, and you don't even have to work for it. So yeah, that's just OP. That's what's called OP, when you could literally just stun your enemies whenever you want by distracting them, and then they go into this alert animation where they're just in a trance, and then there's just no threats. There's no challenge.
Drop it at your feet without you leaving cover. I even like how Outlaws handles these larger weapons. They can't be reloaded, meaning that once you fire all the rounds, you just drop the empty gun and go back to your trusty blasters. This is likely a design decision to ensure that K never feels too overpowered, thus making sure the player is always on their toes in combat.
Out here, you live and die by your reputation.
Finally, you can't have an open-world Star Wars game without ways to get around that expanse, and in Outlaws, K has a speeder bike that, as you'd guess, can also be upgraded. You can win credits doing races, or just stop off along the way to your destination at some interesting-looking pit stop. The bike controls well. It almost feels like driving a boat in Wave Race 64 in that it's pretty fast and arcadey and maneuverable.
Look how much nothingness. Like just vast, artificially AI generated nothingness. Nothingness. That's all this is.
But hardly handles like it's on rails.
Look how boring that is. Just look, there's no boosters, there's no real handling with the bike. It's just going at the same exact speed. I don't even think it's increasing speed. It's not even, is there even any acceleration? Is this the maximum speed? Is this it? This is fun? Look how boring that looks.
Handles like it's on rails.
It's not even going fast.
Complementing this is K's ship, the Trailblazer, and yes, it's upgradable. I got to do a bit of outer space ship-to-ship combat, and I had a good time. I'll need plenty more time in the pilot seat to...
So of course there's aim assist, because literally every game has aim assist, because there's no literal skill ceiling anymore. Games don't have skill ceiling. They have to do everything for the player. Oh, you gotta aim here, aim right here, click right here, and then you'll instantly kill the enemy. Like, just let the player actually calculate the shots himself. Let the player look at where the lasers are going and time the freaking shots. Okay, why is everything that ruins the fun? You're doing everything for the player. Everything for the player. It's noob friendly.
Really solidify my opinion here, but flying the Trailblazer made a good first impression.
Oh, that's it. We've lost them.
If there's one thing that concerned me a bit during my hands-on time, it's bugs. Outlaws went gold well before the preview event, meaning that if I wasn't playing the certification build, it was something mighty close. And while yes, there will inevitably be a day one patch, as most games have nowadays.
Day one patch. So you're not buying a completed game if there's a day one patch. Okay, you're buying a broken alpha and hoping that at some point the developers will have some sort of honor to actually fix their game, but they already got the money, so there's no incentive to do that. They're just going to give you a broken game. You pay $60, no, $70 at this point, and you have a broken game filled with glitches. So you might get stuck in a level, you might have corrupt saves, the AI might get broken, a lot of the scripts might be broken, and you have to restart either the entire level or the entire game. Okay, think I'm lying? This has actually happened before with a lot of these Disney Star Wars games where people literally just can't keep progressing and they literally run into thousands of glitches.
It was still disappointing to see as many annoying little, admittedly mostly visual and harmless, glitches as I did. Hopefully that day one update will knock out the bulk of them.
You know the rules. No credits, no sabak. And you already owe the Pikes a fortune.
Ultimately, though, I had a fantastic time with Star Wars Outlaws. Open world games tend to be jacks of all trades, masters of none, and while I'm not sure Outlaws will master any of its gameplay components, it nonetheless not only does them all very well, but it does so with a convincing Star Wars sheen. And since there's somehow never been an open world Star Wars game before, it feels new, fresh, and most welcome. I'm glad this is arguably the first big name game.
They don't even tell us the story of the game. What is the story? Okay, please give us what is the main objective to this? Okay, open world games usually show the story. Like, look at the trailers to GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption. They have this the main focus of the trailer is the story. Yes, there's gameplay there too, but they at least give some story within it. They don't just show terrible gameplay in set pieces. Okay, come on now. This is just awful. This looks awful.